Hey y'all, Leela with Kreations. Today I want to go over CrystaLac and the things that I noticed while changing from epoxy to a non-toxic epoxy. If you don't know, I stopped using epoxy due to some health concerns. I do have a video linked in my YouTube page that explains everything. The one question that I always get whenever I make the announcement or made the announcement that I was switching to CrystaLac is how many coats of CrystaLac do you put on a tumbler? So this tumbler is a glitter tumbler. As you can see, she's nice and cute. This has 12 coats of CrystaLac on here. I know for all of my epoxy users, they're like, 12 coats? Are you kidding me? Yes, 12 coats. But the first 2 coats are flood coats. So they're very thick coats. And the next 10 coats are just 5 or 10 mLs of my CrystaLac. So yes, there is a lot of coats, or there are a lot of coats that you have to put on your tumblers. But the great thing about putting so many coats of the CrystaLac on your tumblers is that for me personally, I don't have to leave my craft space. Whenever I used to epoxy, I would have to plan all of my crafts around my epoxying. So I would do all of my prepping, all of my orders, and then at the very end of my craft day or night, that's when I would epoxy, and then I would shut the door and leave. The great thing about this is that CrystaLac takes about 2 hours to cure. So the first thing I do when I enter my craft room is I get all my CrystaLac and I start putting my coats. So I put my coat on, I have a timer for 2 hours. Once that timer is up, I put my other coat on. So if you do 4 coats, that's 8 hours already. If you spend an entire day in your craft space, you're already halfway done with applying your coats to your tumbler. So I know that epoxy, you do like 3 or 4 coats and then you are done. CrystaLac is a little thinner, so you do have to put more coats on, but the coats aren't 50 mLs of the non-toxic epoxy. It's not 40 mLs. It's only 5 to 10 mLs, and that's for this 40-ounce tumbler. You want to make sure you're putting those very thin coats because the thicker coats that you put on, it's not going to be even, and you're going to find that there's a lot of bumps on your tumbler, so you want to keep your coats very, very thin. I've done 3 tumblers with this one bottle of Grand Finale. All 3 of the tumblers have been glitter tumblers, so I've had to put at least 15 coats of this CrystaLac on 3 tumblers. A lot of people think this one bottle of Grand Finale will not last you long, and in my opinion, this did 3 glitter tumblers plus a decal, and I have a little bit left. I have a couple coats left. I honestly think it's worth it. A lot of epoxy users think this is only half a tumbler, but in reality, this goes a long ways. So one question that I get all the time, or one question that a lot of people are toying with is, should I switch from epoxy to epoxy-free non-toxic epoxy? My personal opinion is that if you have been working with epoxy for so long, you have a well-ventilated space, you're working in a shed, in a garage, you use the proper PPE, and you are just really good at working with epoxy and you have mastered it, like me, then I would say not to switch, honestly. The only reason why I switch is because of medical reasons. If I wasn't having any medical issues, if I didn't get headaches every time I used epoxy, if I didn't feel dizzy the day after, I'd still be using epoxy, to be honest. I would have never switched to CrystaLac. But if you are breaking out from epoxy, if you do feel sick or nauseous, or if you have kids in the home or pets and you're worried about what epoxy might do to them externally and internally, then I would say make the switch. I'm not gonna lie, I miss using epoxy so much. I used epoxy for 8 years. I've epoxied so many tumblers, and I really do miss it, especially seeing other artists make tumblers using epoxy. But my health, my pet's health, my family's health is so much more important than just a pretty tumbler when I know that I can get the same exact thing. I just have to cut a little bit of corners and be a little bit more patient with it. I'm also in the testing phases of a Hyperion. I really do love CrystaLac. I have nothing bad to say about CrystaLac. Usually when I find a product, my very first product that I use and I like it a lot, the second product I usually don't like, only because I just don't like change. This is probably a great product, but I still like CrystaLac more because I perfected it in a way and I'm still trying to work with this. So this doesn't mean this product is bad. A lot of people like Hyperion over CrystaLac, but it's just whichever one you want to try. At the end of the day, they're both non-toxic and they're both really great brands. The great thing about CrystaLac is that there's no mixing. There's no part A and part B. This is one part That is one of my favorite things. Also, you don't have to wear gloves. You don't have to wear PPE. This is non-toxic. You can still look cute and still make cute tumblers. So if you have had a bad reaction to epoxy like myself, and you are thinking about making the switch, if you have any questions, please comment below and I will respond in a detailed video. And I do have a lot of videos that I am making with Hyperion, and I'm already starting to push out my videos of CrystaLac. I do have this video coming up, and then I have a holiday tumbler that I am currently doing and I'm looking at, and she is gorgeous. So be sure to follow all of my channels: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Please leave all your questions below. I will get to them video by video. Thanks for watching. Bye.